The meaning of this is that poets and singers are a lot of times thought of as similar because they both write basically songs. I mean, poems and songs when they're written down look very similar, but he's trying to show that they're very different in reality, and poets have to put a lot more effort into what they do. He's not necessarily trying to bash singers, but he just wants to show the struggles that poets have to go through to get their work recognized and enjoyed. So then, in the second half of the poem, he starts to talk about, or show diction that portrays the timelessness of poetry. And this begins when he says, divine instinct, breadth of vision, the law of reason, health, rudeness of body, withdrawnness, gaiety, suntan, air sweetness, such are some of the words of poems. And he's showing how poems can cover any topic. It's much less limited than singing because there's no expectation of what the people want from you. So there's infinite options where you can go with it, and you can put your own interpretation even into like a topic that's already been done before. And then he says, the sailor and traveler underlie the maker of poems, the answerer, the builder, geometer, chemist, anatomist, phonologist, artist, all these underlie the maker of poems, the answerer. And he's listing off all these jobs, and I think what he means is that they're all based on poetry and can create it. So being a poet is the ultimate job, because he's saying they all underlie poems, and they underlie the maker of poems. So really, every job is poetry, and poetry is everything. Then he says, they give you to form for yourself poems, religions, politics, peace, behavior, histories, essays, romances, and everything else. They bank ranks, colors, races, creeds, and the sexes. They do not seek beauty. And what he means by this is that poems can be whatever you want or need them to be, and they are powerful because they never discriminate, as well as they stand the test of time. Poems don't care what race you are. They can still have meaning for you regardless of how old you are, what gender you are, whether you're black or white. And they don't care if you're ugly or pretty, and you can still get the meaning from them, whereas the singing industry is more commercialized, and it a lot of times promotes kind of looking a certain way or being a certain way, and poetry, there's no discrimination. And then it says, they bring none to his or her terminus, or to be content and full. Whom they take into space to behold the birth of stars, to learn one of the meanings. So even though poems aren't physically what kills people, because of their power, this shows that poems are the underlying force that runs the world and makes it go round, because of the meaning that they can hold for people and the different interpretations everyone can give them. They really are what gives meaning to life. And then the very last line, it's talking about how poems can take you to your death, and the very last line is, never be quiet again. And I think it's talking about poets there, and that poets never really die. And I think that goes along with a quote that I've heard that says people die twice, the first time when they actually die, and the second time when someone says their name for the last time. And I think this really means a lot of the same thing, because it's saying that poets, their poems are so timeless and will always hold meaning for people, that people will keep reading those poems forever, and they're never going to stop saying the poet's name and respecting him. And so even though that comes back to the difference between singing and poetry, is that even though singing is the easier path to follow, poetry is the one that's going to last. And so if you can stick it out and become a poet, people are going to never forget you, and so you're going to live forever. And so that really shows how powerful poetry is that it's timeless, and it's hard to achieve it, but people are going to respect you forever.